What's really good, ladies and gentlemen? It's the OG Boricua Dada. I haven't even got my hat on. This guy who just had back surgery doesn't get to get introduced because we got, listen, the Jersey legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Ray Jaz. How are you, my brother? Or should I say, how you doing?
How you doing? What's going on? What's going on? What are you guys doing?
It's all right. It's all right, man. Like, my fault for being old and not knowing all this crazy stuff here.
It's all right. Hey. It happens all the time. Technology is a blessing and a curse, right?
Hey, I want to give a shout out to all my Goombas out there, brother. I'm back. All the Goombas out there. I'm back. After 2 months, after 2 months of back surgery and healing, I'm finally back.
There you go, right, man. You're looking good.
Yeah. I gotta lose more weight.
Hey, you just got surgery, man. One step at a time, right?
Yes.
One step at a time.
Yes, sir.
So wait, before we even get to ask him something, which I've never heard you say Goombas before, name one Italian food that you like that's not pizza or pasta. Go ahead.
The Cambolis.
What?
Stambolis?
That's a country. I think he's talking about a country there.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, calzone.
A calzone?
Calzones.
That doesn't count. Come on.
And also cannolis.
Cannolis? All right.
Cannolis are Italian. I love cannolis. I love cannolis.
Well, that's a dessert. That's not really a dish, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice cappuccino with a cannoli. That's how you do. That's how you do it right there.
Pasta, chicken parmesan, anything that they give Olive Garden is Italian. So.
If you like good cannolis, there was the place when I lived in New York in Little Italy. He was known as the Cannoli King, and they have this giant cannoli out in the front. I'll send you guys a picture when I find it, but we used to go there all the time. We used to order cannolis. They had any kind of cream stuffed in it. They had a pistachio cream. They had the chocolate cream. They had any kind of cream stuffed in. And then they even dipped it in chocolate. Yeah.
Where'd you stay in New York? Was it Brooklyn?
No, I lived in Manhattan. I went to New York University. So I lived in Greenwich Village for like a year or two and then moved more towards Union Square for a little bit. But NYU was all over Manhattan, and I took 7th in the country for them for wrestling, and I have the most wins in NYU history and most single season wins as well.
Yep.
So yeah.
Now is that place still open?
What did you say?
The restaurant or the place is still open with the cannolis?
Of course.
Yeah, he's still there. I gotta find him on Instagram. He's a good dude. He used to always sit down and eat the cannolis with us. He was a good friend of ours and went to a lot of the wrestling matches. But it's funny. I go, a Jersey kid like me went over and took over New York. I said, we got to change this to New Jersey University.
Now, see, I'm from New York. I'm from Queens. So a lot of this stuff, I get what you're saying. So collegiately, what was... I don't want to ask the corny, what was your hardest fight, blah, blah, blah. But like from high school to college, what was the transition of level of, wrestling, real wrestling?
A lot of it was, in high school, I came from a really good program. We were the #1 team in the state 3 out of 4 years at Sal Plainfield. We were undefeated 2 years, 2-time state champs. And going to college, it wasn't like a transition of the style necessarily. It was getting used to wrestling some guys that were literally 5-6 years older than you. I was going in that freshman year of college being 18, and I'm wrestling guys that were 22, 23. So it wasn't like different styles. It was just more positioning, and I got it after a month. I took my lumps the first 2 weeks of the season, just getting adjusted to wrestling, to older people. But once I got it, man. I was a 4-year starter, most wins. I was a captain by my sophomore year. And like anything, you just put in the work. Like I went in early before practice and I stayed late. I picked my coach's brains. And by my sophomore year, we had this really good coach called Nick. His name was Nick Solzer. He was a three-time All-American for UVA. And it's funny, he actually went to high school with Nick Nemeth. If you don't know, that's Dolph Ziggler. And he went to St. Ed's in Cleveland. So I got to wrestle with Nick Solzer, and he got me really good. And that's how it is. It's just the reps. And yeah, that's all it is when you make that transition, is just feeling out different positions, right? Because you're wrestling adults, so people are stronger, people have more experience. So it was just getting the reps in with these guys,
Now that same question:
Yes.
how do you transition from amateur wrestling to professional wrestling?
So with that, it's actually a funny story. So the guy that got me into professional wrestling actually wasn't my godfather. No, it was actually Bob Backlund. Bob got me into it. So I was yeah, I was doing a clinic in so after our All American, I would do these wrestling clinics and practices, to make a little money. So I was running a clinic in Brooklyn, at Midwood. You know where Midwood is in Brooklyn?
Yep.
In Midwood, and the coach there, he's an old school guy, and he was best friends with Bob Backlund. So I was running a clinic there, and Bob was actually there. I don't know what he was doing there. Maybe he was just visiting an old friend, but he watched me do the clinic. He goes, "What are you doing now?" I'm like, "Well, I'm graduating college." He goes, "But you're in the prime of your life." I go, "Yeah, I know." And it was at that time where they got rid of my weight class in the Olympics. And in MMA, it would have been weird transition because it was either cut down to 55 or go up to like 80. And I was like dead in the middle because I cut to 157 in college. So I was cutting down from 180, cutting down to 57. So I was like, dude, there's no way I can make 55. And then the Olympics, they got rid of that weight. So then Bob was just talking to me. He goes, "Why don't you try pro wrestling?" And I go, like I was always a fan, but I never really thought of it. And then he referred me to Damian Adams, and then I've been trained by Damian Adams for coming close to 5 years. But yeah, and I haven't looked back since. And the big transition, right, that you're asking is letting people in now. So when I was competing at a high level in college, I was ranked first or second a lot of the times throughout my career. And it's letting people, like, I didn't like to let people see what I was training, what I was working on, right? I didn't want my opponents to know, like, my training regiment or my go-to shots. So I kept a lot of things hidden on social media. Now after, it's like you got to show everyone everything. You know what I mean? You got to show them your workouts. You got to show them your technique. Show them your move set. Show them your face. Show them you can interact, because that's what they're paying to see, right? That's how you sell tickets, right? Is you let people in now, and that's what it is. And it's more of connecting with the audience. With college wrestling, it's like you have that tunnel vision, like, I'm here to beat you. And then pro wrestling, it's like, I'm here to beat you, but I want them to watch me beat your ass.
Yeah. It's funny you said all that, because we obviously, we are podcast, so it's myself, Muffins here, and one of our partners, and we talk what we're going to talk about, or when you came into MLW, we were like, okay, and Muffins was the first one to be like, yo, this guy Ray Jaz is official. Like, I'll give him his credit. He was the one that was like, but then when we started paying attention more, it's wild to see, because a lot of people, they get lost looking at the camera, or they shy away from cutting promos. You are very comfortable, or it seems like it, with being on camera. It does not bother you at all. Like, and even to the last video that you did with Nunzio, where he got the Ray Jaz on the side, it feels so organic, like there's not a camera there. And people don't understand it. Like, that's a trait. That's actually, a lot of wrestlers don't have that comfortability, or whatever the word might be, to actually do that. So in such a short time, you've been able to feel like a super veteran, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't really think about it. It's funny. Me and Guido, well, me and James, me and Nunzio, whatever you want to call him. I call him Nuns, but we're just so organic because we feel like we've known each other for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, to me, he's like my wrestling father. It's crazy. Like, the thing, we mesh so much. We're like, it's funny. I'm like, it's like, when I see it, it's like I'm looking in the mirror of the future.
Wow.
But that's how we are, and he has my back on a lot of things, and I pick his brain about a lot of things, and he picks my brain about some things too. But with that, with the camera stuff, it's just, I don't know. I think it started when COVID happened. I had to figure out, well, what can I do to better myself, right? If there's no indies going on, there's no shows, right? I just started getting comfortable with cutting promos and doing the jazz tip of the day. That's when it started. The jazz tip of the day started during COVID. I've been doing it over 2 years. And I think that's what got me so comfortable with being in front of the camera. And another thing I kind of like, you talk about like being on a big stage and wrestling, like now we're wrestling for TV, right? The way I compare it is I'll never be as more nervous as the blood round in the NCAA tournament. So that was like my nervous level. You know what I mean? So I always compare things to that. I'm like, it wasn't as bad as that, if that makes sense. But I think when you have those experiences, and even when you're working with great people, it just makes it more fun and organic, and it's just second nature. You don't think about it, you just do it, right? Yeah.
Muffins, can I cut you off real quick because I got to ask them before I because I'm interested in a lot of things. Now F.B.I. being a big staple when you think of wrestling history, right? Like the full-blooded Italians have been in wrestling for a hot minute. If people didn't know your work before, but now they're seeing it, you're coming in with a lineage of that, F.B.I. thing. That's got to put a little pressure on you. How cool was that to come into it as an F.B.I. member?
I tell you what, my roommates are from college. They're laughing at me because we used to joke about it. They're like, "Dude, you'd be perfect for the F.B.I." Like blah blah blah. Fast forward 5 years later, look, I'm in it. And even me, when I was a kid, I loved it. I'm an Italian kid from New Jersey. It's like that's always, hey, that was always the best, to see him do his thing, especially when he was in the WWE. And I watched him when I was a kid, and I'd be like, oh, that'd be cool to be part of that. And it's like, it's pretty fun. It's like you couldn't write a better picture. You know what I mean? You couldn't write a better story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I know yesterday we had a little chat on social media on Twitter, and I was saying like how you are 27, Nuncio, should be the godfather, like Chef always says, and you guys will need another partner, a guy, to go for the next 2 decades. And you have mentioned that you're gonna go start taking applications online or whatever. And I told you,
Guido still got it, man. He still has it. He works out with me in the gym,
Oh yeah, yeah. You can tell, you can see.
Well, we have an idea coming. I don't want to spoil it, but we're gonna send out some applications. Of course, there's gonna be a small fee.
Yes.
And we can make people honorary members of the F.B.I. I think that's a good idea. We got a couple good ideas coming out.
even us Puerto Ricans could be ordinary Italians.
Yes, anyone. Yep, we're gonna make it very interesting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good because it's gonna be another. And this is where my I guess me being younger and knowing marketing and media, it comes in handy with me. And then I use what Nunzio knows, and then we come up with plans to make and elevate this new brand of the F.B.I. And kind of elevate it to new heights that it should have got a couple of years ago, because it hasn't been around in what I would say 10 years roughly.
It's been a while.
Yeah. And I think we're just we complement each other very well because our in-ring style is the same. And it's like I'm new with all this new marketing and technique, and then he's Nunzio. He's a vibe. He's a vibe in and of itself. He has his own things. He likes to do what he does. I'm like, dude, that's perfect. His favorite thing is he lives in Rockland County in New York, and I don't want to blow his spot up, but he has his own spots. I call it the Nunzio Bar Hop. He has his own. I call myself the Jersey legend. He's the Rockland County legend.
Hey,
well, it's crazy how he's outlived every single different group of the F.B.I. Like he's still there, and you've seen like 20 different guys since that time come and go, and Nuncio's still there. He's still the main guy.
Boss, man. He's the boss.
Like everybody, man. Like you've seen the whole incarnations from ECW, WWE, WCW, and you see the different type of groups. And you see Nuncio, like he's what 50 now, and you think like this dude's been here for like 40 years.
For? Why
I'm
you
just
airing out his
saying.
age?
Okay, 4 decades. He's been
Oh
out there
yeah,
for
he
4
doesn't look a
decades.
day past 37. Come on.
Yeah.
There
Actually,
you go.
one of the fans were confusing both of us together. I go, oh, I see. I was joking with him. I was like, see, you do look funny.
Look the same. After a while, you guys look the same.
Yeah. Well, the thing with him, it's he has his own routine and he has his own strategy of doing things. And that's how he is. He's very consistent, and if anything, he taught me it's about being patient. That's his big lesson with me right now is just being patient and letting things work out, not rushing anything. Let stuff come to you, and when the time's right, go and kill it, right? But he has his own ways, and it's the reason why he's been around for 4 decades.
Yep.
Because he's very disciplined. Nunzio's he's very disciplined, and he likes what he likes. He doesn't if he doesn't like something, trust me, he's not gonna do it.
Yeah, like so when we seen this, my head started going, right? And I was like, all right, we got the young guy, which is you. And I was like, man, I would love to see Nunzio throw a suit on and kind of be like the Lucky Luciano or John Gotti of the wrestling world, right? Like, me being a Queens guy, it's what I know. So I was like, yo, I would love to see this. But with what you're saying, now I'm all in on what you're saying. Now I'm curious, and obviously we're not going to spoil anything. I don't want to know because I hate spoilers. So when it comes out, I want to see what you guys are doing. But with MLW coming to New York, how did you feel? Because the crowd was pretty lit. Like you guys had a real nice pop too. Like that was also when you think of all right, when it's New York, New Jersey, Philly, that's like F.B.I. country. If you start going up towards like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, that's other people's country. But it had to be dope to be on that level at home,
Yeah, definitely. It was good. And I think the giant flag that I got made it even better. But yeah, it was great. Because it's weird. Like when I wrestled now, I haven't wrestled in this area too much. I'm always in New England or California. So it was great to be back home in New York. Because I have a lot of fans there and a lot of people that I went to school with and just a lot of connections in the area. So it was good to see that crowd again and just have people throwing it up. It was awesome, and it was good for Nunzio to see too because he doesn't wrestle in Queens and New York City too often either. He's always either in Philly or a couple times in Jersey. So it was actually really cool because honestly, New York is really you're right, F.B.I. territory. So it was kind of our first time debuting in New York City. And it's funny, we only had, I think this was maybe our 4th match together, but it looks like we've been teaming for a long time, right?
For a hot minute, like it. But you said it. You guys have just organically gelled, like it just a thing. And Muffin, my bad.
Yeah, well, no, that's how much I've known him for a long time. Like a lot of my close friends are related to him and are from his area. My best friend is actually his mother's good friends with his sister. So it was funny, like growing up, he would always just be around. So I know him growing up. So that's why we mesh. We mesh so well. We're basically the same person. Just a couple years.
I was going to ask,
go ahead, Muffin. I keep cutting you off, baby.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, how is it wrestling someone or a group like you guys had a match against 2 of the guys from Dragon Gate that just was on thing? How is it to wrestle a different group or somebody else whose language is different than yours?
Like internationally,
you just compete, man. You just compete and make it happen. That's it. But that's where Nunzio's experience comes in. He's wrestled everywhere, right? He's wrestled in Japan for a long time too. So that's where it benefits having him because he has so much experience. I think he wrestled for almost every company, right? He wrestled for ECW, WWE. Did he wrestle? He probably wrestled for New Japan a couple times. What is it? UWI. He wrestled a bunch of places. And it's funny. He wrestles in so many places he forgets.
But
he'll tell me stories. And that's what we do when we pass some time. He'll just tell me stories, especially when we're at the ECW arena. He'll bring back memories like it's nothing. He'll be like, in that corner, this is what happened in that corner in '95.
He's like, no, so you're supposed to come back this week to our wrestling, and he's like, what are you guys? Where? Like, dude, you're the champion for here. You're supposed to come by.
He's
You
the
can't
champion.
forget
He's the
him.
undisputed champion of Italian people. It's great.
Yes, he is.
So, I know that you also coach kids.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm way older, so I'm from the old school. You get talked to a certain way, you do what you're told, and a lot of these new kids, and I'm not saying your kid. That's what I was going to ask you. Was like, how is it with this generation's kids where they think they know everything, they don't want to put the work in? Your kids obviously look like they're bought in by you.
Yeah. So with that, right? Because I've been trained by the old school coaches and everything, and I think it's all about being relatable, and really connecting to these kids and showing them and kind of leading by example. I don't do anything that I couldn't do myself with these kids, and if they want to get smart, oh, coach, you're going to do it. I'll do it twice, or sometimes I'll do it 3 times. But it's about being relatable, right? Because if someone's just yelling at you and telling you to do this and there's no purpose or reasoning behind it, then kids these days they're too smart for that stuff.
Yeah.
But when you tell them and you show them there's a purpose, then they'll do it. And that's the beauty about coaching wrestling, because it's like, all right, if you don't want to listen to me, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen when you step on the mat. And sometimes they don't listen. And guess what? You see it in the mat and they go, oh, coach, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I go, yeah, I know a thing. But that's what it's about. It's about connecting, right? Because it's like, if you're going to do something, right? If you want to do something, you're most likely going to do it for your friend than for a stranger, than for someone that you don't like. And that's what I try to do. I try to be relatable and try to be more of a friend and a mentor than a coach, right? Because my job as a coach, especially at high school wrestling, is to turn these boys into men, right?
Yeah.
And have them learn the skill of setting a goal and working for it. And life, sometimes when you set a goal, you don't always achieve it. But if you work for it, you learn lessons and characters and characteristics of trying to achieve this goal. And I tell them, your life isn't defined by your accolades. Your life is defined by your character and what you do and what kind of person you are. So if you go for your goal, say that your goal is to be a state champ. Well, if you worked for it, you did everything that you possibly could do. You trained every day. You lifted, right? You did everything that you needed to do. Sometimes the cards don't fall into your place. Sometimes you come up short. But that doesn't mean you didn't achieve your goal, right? If you did everything you possibly could do and you could look yourself in the mirror and said, I've done everything, then you achieved your goal. Sometimes the accolades don't come, right? Sometimes you lose. It happens. But that's a lesson too in itself, right? And that's how you become a better person, is learning from those mistakes. And sometimes I tell them, I'm like, sometimes life is all about that chip on your shoulder, right? I wasn't a national champ in college. I fell short. I took 7th. But I have that chip on my shoulder, and that's what makes me a better pro wrestler now, because I still have that chip, right? And when you have that chip, man, you're still always willing to learn and make things happen. Sometimes when you do achieve your goal, you stop, right? So I tell these kids, have that chip on your shoulder. Even if you win, still have that chip on your shoulder, and that's what it's all about, man.
I got to ask you, what's the coolest moment you've had so far as a coach?
Coolest moment that I've had and it's funny because I'm also a mindset coach too. So I coach actual wrestling at Bridgewater, but I also have a bunch of mindset clients, and it was great. And I would be lying to say one of my kids was a state champ, and I'm very proud of it at 144. But my favorite moment actually comes from this one kid. He thought he was down and out, man. It was a month before the postseason. He was the 3rd string guy. Right. He was the 3rd string guy. He thought he was finished. Right. He goes, I don't know if I'm going to start for the end of the season, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to be JV. He was just very down in the dumps. And I was able to talk him up, and dude, he won one wrestle off. Then he won the other. Then he became the starter, and then he won districts, and then he won regions, and then he qualified for the state tournament.
Wow.
And this kid only been wrestling for 3 years. And I think that was one of my proud moments, is that just taking the kid from bottom level, and then freaking bringing him to the top. And I'm excited because he was a junior, so he's got one more year. But that was a good feeling, because the state champ, yes, that was great. But to take someone from the bottom, right, and really get him to the top, that's what I was proud of this year. That's the moment that sticks out. Screw my wrestling career. I'm just, but as a coach, that was one of my proud moments. Yeah.
No, this is gonna be like your thing then, right? Like wrestling coach for like to you're like 50, 60 years old, 70.
I hope not. I hope this is the last year. I say it every year. This is my last year coaching.
Really?
Because
okay.
really, I want pro wrestling to be my full-time job. I've wanted it to be. And stuff didn't go my way, so coaching is still in my life, and I think I'm there for a reason. So I try to give these kids as much as I can now, because who knows if I'm going to be coaching next year. I hope, knock on wood, I hope I'm not, but right now I try to coach these kids like it's my last year every year, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I have so much knowledge from the years I've wrestled, you know what I mean? I could talk about my career, but it's funny. I'd rather talk about my coaching career, because I not to say that I'm a better coach than I was a wrestler, but it's just more exciting to me now is see these kids learn.
I don't know if you could say that, because collegiately you were a really great wrestler too. So you can't really say like you did your thing on both levels.
Yeah, but it like I said, when when you look at your mirror and you said you could do everything you possibly could do, I did that. After I took 7th, I did that, and I kind of turned the page on that.
Now, any of the kids that you're coaching, are there anyone near your talent? You think
anyone near my talent? I would say
that can surpass you right now. Like this kid's gonna break my records coming up.
I don't know if they can break the record at NYU. It's just a different way of wrestling now. But the kid that won it and the state champion, he just he's going to Lehigh next year, and he's a really good wrestler, and I'm excited for his future. I think he'll definitely surpass me. But even in my high school was so good. I had my teammates. Some of my teammates were better than me, but that's what gave me that chip in the shoulder in college. And it's funny, all 4 of us All-American the same year at different schools. So I All-American at NYU. 2 of my friends, one was a national champ for Rutgers. One took 5th at Rutgers, and my other friend took 5th at UNC. So we did it all in the same year. That was very special.
Nice.
Yeah. That was a very special.
Trying to transition to come back into MLW.
Yeah.
Goals for MLW. What, like, obviously you ready? What is it? This is your 3rd or 4th match that you've had.
This has been 5th or 6th. So we just did 3 matches over the weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Because technically we haven't seen him at home.
Yeah.
So after seeing it, because obviously you had the Dragon Gate guys, which you guys did your thing. Outside of now, but without throwing out any kind of information of the last 3, because technically we haven't seen it yet. Going forward, projection-wise, what are you saying to yourself? Because obviously you're a super positive guy. Do you see yourself at, say, like a year or before that to try to challenge SST at that point, because they're the current champs right now?
Yeah. I would say we're going for it all, right? We're not here to steal Conor McGregor. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over. And that's what we do. And I think me and Nunzio, we have something special, and I don't think that could be denied. Because we've only been on a couple times, and I think our popularity is pretty good. People love us or they love to hate us, but they can't keep their eyes off of us, right?
That's the thing, though. Like with wrestling, there is not another group like F.B.I. and MLW, right? Like you could have a bunch of big dudes and they all kind of look the same, but there is not an F.B.I. feel in any wrestling. Let's just keep it honest. There's not an Italian.
Yeah, in any wrestling company, right? Yeah, there is nothing like us. Yeah,
because it's real.
This is real. This is how we really are. You know, it's funny. This is how we really are. We're organic, and there's nothing like it really in any wrestling company. And me and Nunzio, we were talking about this the other day. It's like I was like, they should make us a TV show because it's like, dude, it's just how we are. It's just how we are. Like I was up in Rockland County just meeting my buddy, like, because I haven't seen him in a while, and he opened up this like this IV business. You know, that the recovery thing, the vitamin thing. I was helping him open up his business. And it was by Nunzio, so I called him. He goes, come by to Mr. Pyman's. It's like a local bar in Rockland County, and we were just shooting it up, man. And then we got some pictures and got some great content. It's like we were gonna do it anyway. Why not put a camera on it? And that's it, man. It is. It's
that's where. That's what I want more from MLW for you guys, is to kind of show the everyday of a New York, New Jersey Italian, because I mean they're pretty much the same. Like you know, unless you're young and you're hitting the Jersey Shore, or you know you're hitting the Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, you know, because it is what it is. But if you show the real aspect of that, instead of just kind of giving an in-ring or a backstage, like if they allow you to have that outside organic, other Italians will fall into that because they would, that's us. You know what I mean? Like they would easily be able to sign in with that.
Yeah, and it's not super gimmicky where it's like a Jersey Shore guy. You know, this is how we really are. As much as I call myself the Jersey Legend, it's how I do it. I spend my summer weekends at the shore. You know, I go to DJs, I go to the beach. And the fact that I lived in New York, I know all the Italian New York spots. And it's funny, as stereotypical as it is, it's like, it's what we do. And it's funny, as much as people like to hate it, they want to do it with us, right?
Listen. Like I said, I'm a Puerto Rican guy. Hold on. We're talking New York. You know, I got to do this. You know what I mean? Like, so I've been to every Italian spot. I love the festival. You know what I mean? Like, it's so dope, but that's what I want. I want to be able to see that, because then it feels like home, you know, like, and anyone that's ever done that, anyone that's, you know, ever experienced it hit home, you know, and that's what you want. You want to be able to relate to something. My fault, Muffins. Go ahead. But I just want to say I relate to it, even though, you know, I like, you know, other things, but I
was going to ask Ray, you know, since he said he's like in the summertime, he's down the Jersey Shore, you know, at the beach and stuff. Have you met Snooki, and how is she doing?
Have I met Snooki? It's funny. Her husband was one of the wrestling coaches that I used to train with.
Look at that. Look at that.
Hanover Park. He was a Hanover Park legend, man. Florham Park legend. He was in the state finals. He was really good. He was a good wrestler back in the day. Yeah.
That's crazy. I thought that was such a stupid question, bro.
Everyone, trust me. They know. They know.
Jersey Shore. Everybody knows Jersey Shore. Even if you don't want to, you know it.
Yeah, and I was good friends with. Well, I'm still good friends with Robbie Strauss, Robert Stone now, known as. And when I first started, he kind of took me under his wing, and he actually lived at the Jersey Shore too. We would hang out, and he would teach me the ways of the road. And so Robbie's good friends with Roger from the Jersey Shore. Remember him?
No, you said Robert Stone from WWE, right?
Yep.
NXT.
Yep.
So
Robbie E.
Robbie E. Yep, from TNA.
Yeah. Impact Wrestling.
Yes. Yep. All right. Look at that shit. So you ask one question, you get a bunch of answers.
What'd you say?
You ask one question, you get a bunch of different answers of people that he met.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Robbie's man. He showed me so many things. I don't know if I could talk about it in this podcast, but
like I used to, like, when I first moved to Florida 11 years ago. I lived in Central Florida, so I went to Impact Wrestling all the time. Got to know Robbie E. Got to know pretty much the whole roster. You know, like, it was crazy. But the Bromans, that was such a wild group. Like, he was out of control. You know, Robbie E. was a party.
The Bromans.
He's still a party. No, not anymore. He calmed down a lot.
Hey.
Me and Nunzio give him crap because, you know, we said he slowed down a lot. He's a family man now, you know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now, being in MLW, and you hear the rumors and stuff, do you let that stuff kind of bother you with like the different things that you hear about, like different channels going here and there, or you just go, it's my job, I'm just gonna go focus on my job, and whatever happens?
Yeah, it goes back to me and my wrestling career, right? You can only control what you can control, right? My effort, my attitude, and my performance. That's the only thing I can control, right? You can't let the outside influence affect you, right? Because you can't control it, right? Is it's not my job is to handle that stuff, I'm just gonna perform, and I'm gonna perform to the best of my ability, any opportunity given to me. So yeah, you don't let the outside stuff affect you because I can't control it, right? And that's it,
Yes.
Muffins, ask him. Go ahead. Ask him some crazy question. I got one more left so we can finally let him go.
Well, no, I wanted to know, MLW now, which other company would you like to be or
don't
maybe
no, he
pass
can't answer
by in
that.
the
Don't do
future?
that.
I'm just
Why
saying,
would you do that?
because
Nah.
everybody has different goals, different ideas of what they want to do, who they want to wrestle in the future.
I'll leave you with. I mean, I love MLW. I love the locker room. I love everything we're doing. It's a lot of fun. And I wrestled for a lot of companies. But I love where I'm at right now. I'll leave it with that. And there are some wrestlers that I would love to tear it up with. Not only as a tag but as a singles wrestler. One of them would be Matt Riddle, because I knew Matt Riddle when I was growing up. He used to wrestle at East Stroudsburg. It'd be funny to go full circle with that. It'd be fun to wrestle an MJF, because I feel like, why not, right? That'd be a good match. We have similar attitudes and styles. Even with MLW, it'd be great to wrestle Alex Kane or Davey Boy Smith Jr. Me and Davey Boy Smith Jr. We send each other some MMA videos. We DM each other about it. So he's a big MMA fan, and there's so many people I would like to wrestle, but right now MLW, I love it. I love where I'm at. I love what we're doing. It's a lot of fun, and I think the fans can see how much fun we're having. Right, me and Nunzio. As much as he wouldn't admit it, he's having a lot of fun with me, and I think this is his favorite.
His favorite incarnation so far.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Now, you prefer tag team or single wrestling?
I only used to be a singles wrestler, so now with him being in the tag is a lot of fun because you have other minds in the ring, and it's good because you get more creative. I mean, singles is always great. Like if you want to be the top person in pro wrestling, you have to do it singles, right? You could do it tag, but I think anyone's goal in life should be the best at what they do. So of course singles is where people want to be, but being in a tag recently, it's been a lot of fun, and I really like it. And I hope we could win it all, me and Nunzio.
You know what? I'm gonna say you guys are gonna be tag team champs before the year's over, but it's because he asked another question. I won't. Ray Jaz tip for the day to end this out. Now you're a greedy guy. You. To end it out, Ray Jaz.
That's why I'm fat. That's why I'm fat, because I'm greedy. Because I like to eat.
Can he get the Ray Jaz tip of the day? Because I want one on all. Like I want one. I want to say I got one of these.
All right, yeah, I'll give you a tip of the day, and I already did one today at my crowd chamber place. But just because you guys are special, I'll give you guys another one. Sweet. And it's one of my favorite sayings that I just heard, right? And I'll put a little jersey on it. So the Jazz tip of the day: never stop, never stopping. All right, I love that saying. That one, and good enough is the death of greatness. So I'll give you two little ones. Hey. And the reason for that I love those, right, is because once you stop, you never know where you're going to get, right? Even with your back surgery, you just recovered and everything, one step at a time. Don't stop doing anything, right? It only takes little by little by little, right? If you think something's good enough, it's not. You could have put that little extra, right? So make it great. But never stop, never stopping. People sell themselves short all the time. People give up way too easily. when they could have just gave it that extra effort. And that's it, right? And I tell people you're more capable than you think. And that's it. Never sell yourself short. Never stop, never stopping.
Don't stop.
You know what?
Believing. Hey. Don't stop.
Don't do that. Don't sing, bro.
Hey.
I'll let him sing it out, right? That's the outro music.
With my angelic voice. Don't stop believing. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. Even the wife was like, wow, what are you doing? Like, you didn't hear it, but the wife was like, yo, what are you doing? So Ray Jaz, we appreciate you, my brother. I can't wait to see what we don't know what's going to happen, because we're really excited to know what's the next step for F.B.I. and how we got to apply and all that other good stuff. You're talking to the future. Well, we're talking to the future MLW Tag Team Champion or any other belt that he gets. We're going to let you out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Deuces.